talking about. We can't spend all day on talking about Colorado. I don't want to be like the rest of the media. So let's get right into the dirty here. So for those of you who don't know, if you've lived under a rock and didn't watch the game, which is I think most people here probably did, because I don't want to keep share screen and pulling it off, but I'm going to for this because outside of the numbers are a little skewed. I think the final numbers still haven't come out for sure. This ad was pulled, or article was pulled about 5 hours ago, so it's pretty recent. This shows the Dion effect, because this was apparently the most watched game over Ohio State and Notre Dame even this weekend. Not by much. Now, these numbers could change. These numbers could change a little bit, not by much, but I mean, even if it was number 2, Colorado at Oregon would have even been number 2 compared to Ohio State and Notre Dame. That says something about the Dion effect.
10.3 million. 5th highest watched game of all time is what they were saying this morning.
Yeah, this article was pulled at about 3 p.m. Central Time, so it's not like an older article, but I mean, again, even if it was number 2, even if it fell to number 2, if the numbers updated, point is to be right behind Ohio State, Notre Dame. That says something, and all that says to me is, well, Oregon got the eyes. That's all that happened, is Oregon got the viewership really out of that.
Yeah, it's a win-win. I mean, how many people in the nation, outside of obviously, being Pac-12 fans, or, those select few Buff fans that are out there that have been watching these guys religiously, how many people, on the East Coast are going to sit down and make it a point to tune into a Colorado game prior to this year? I mean, obviously, they have been absolutely horrendous as a program, cumulatively speaking, but, like you said, this is the Dion effect, love it or hate it, 10 million people tuning into a Colorado at Oregon game. Prior to this year, if you would have told me this was going to be a thing, I would have laughed in your face and said, you are insane. This is probably more viewers than Colorado had all year, period, combined last year. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, love it or hate it, the Dion effect is very real here.
Well, and it goes back to like what Lanning said, I think, yesterday or earlier today, of like, if you don't see what Dion's done for college football, then you're just an idiot. Like, he's done so much, whether it's the viewership, it's money, it's the media. Like, he's done so much for college football, and it's not just the fact that it's Colorado.
Well, and that's why with this showing how this looks. So again, even if it was actually number 2, whatever, that's still extremely high numbers for a Colorado at Oregon game. This wasn't like a 1 versus 2 matchup or something like that. It was 10 versus 19. I mean, it wasn't. But that's why we had to discuss, as a lot of people saw it because it was aired. But a lot of the downfall, so to say, or Twitter action, as you pointed out to me, Spaz, which I didn't notice until today. It's been everywhere on my YouTube feed. Everywhere today, everyone's talking about it. Crazy on my YouTube feed. I'm like, what is happening? And so for those of you who didn't see it, this is what we're talking about. This is what the media is talking about. This is Dan Lanning's, part of Dan Lanning's pregame speech.
The Cinderella story is over, man. Right? They're fighting for clicks. We're fighting for wins. There's a difference. Right? There's a difference. Right? This game ain't going to be played in Hollywood. It's going to be played on the grass. Right? It's going to be played on the grass.
Which, it still never gets old to me. I love that. I absolutely love that speech.
Yeah.
That's a great little cut of the speech.
That's one of the best motivational speeches I've heard in a long time.
But people had the huge fallout about it, going, being negative about Dion.
It's
being
racist.
Negative about Dion. Oh, yeah, we have to get into a lot of that. And so that's it. A lot of people did see that. But a lot of people didn't see, I think, part of the reason a lot of that maybe was said. I'm sure he already had that in his head beforehand anyways, but what people didn't see was the pregame speech where Colorado was on the field. So compliments to Go Ducks for catching all of this footage. And this is a brief cut up of it, but this will explain a little bit more of why Oregon seems so aggressive towards Colorado. Not just because of the hype train, but what they did on
this
the
will
field.
explain Lanning's speech, what you're about to see.
And just how he played the game, I think. Here we go.
This is a major stage because of Colorado.
Every station, a TV station, is talking about Colorado.
Colorado.
We're talking about Colorado.
The most amazing story of the year in sports history.
It's not about it's personal anymore. It's about they're coming to kick our ass.
Everybody's tired of hearing about Colorado, and that's going to show up on the football.
The Cinderella story is over, man.
It's kind of nice.
Does that all mean something to you? Does that all mean something to you? Yeah, it sure as hell means something to me.
Hey, I'd like to report a crime to the murder to these ducks.
Again, that did not age well for that guy. That didn't age well at all. That took about 30 minutes, and he regretted saying those words.
Yeah.
That was kind of one of the points of, that really led up to the kind of the anger, frustration for Lanning a lot, especially the scraping of the O, but then to see the player walk around and go, I'm going to kick all your asses and your coaches.
Well,
like,
now it's
okay. No, I know, but I mean, regardless, it don't matter. It's like, oh, murder these ducks. Oh, y'all little, laughing at like the warm-ups, like, like go back to Colorado,
Like, boy, you got thrown like you a little boy by Troy Franklin. Get out of here.
Yeah, I mean, I think so much of that pregame speech, I know a lot of people took it as like a personal shot at Deion. And, at least if you go to the media, I was watching like, multiple shows on like FS1 and, ESPN, obviously it's going to make news there, on Monday. And that speech was everywhere. And I think a lot of people were attacking Dan because, they're like, oh, he's a Deion hater. He hates what Deion's doing. To be real honest, at least how I took that when I first watched that, I don't really think that had a whole lot to do with Deion at all. In my opinion, what I think he was saying here is you guys aren't getting any respect. Like if you guys happened to catch it on Friday night, they brought Dan Lanning on to ESPN and they just were, they're going to talk to him, question him about, they obviously a big upcoming matchup against Colorado. There was a point he had 5 questions in a row that had nothing to do with Oregon, had nothing to do with their preparation, what they've done to this point, what they want to do in the game. It was, how do you feel about Deion? Is Deion do it? They were baiting him. They really wanted to get that bulletin board material. I think he was sick of it. And to be quite frank, I was sick of it as well. And one thing I made a point of on Saturday night is personally, now that this game is over, I'm back on the Colorado train. I'm rooting for Colorado again. I have nothing personal against Deion nor the program, to be real honest. I have no reason to hate him. But the thing I was getting sick of, I felt like Oregon wasn't getting that respect. This was the Colorado game this week, and it had nothing to do with Oregon. And I think that was kind of the message he's pushing to these guys in the locker room is he's like, hey, we're working our asses off here. We're this dominant team. You know what I mean? He's like, and we get no respect to show for it. We're going to go out on this field, and we're going to show them respect. And then, another one was like the Hollywood thing. They're like, oh, Oregon's all about the flash, all this and that. And once again, I don't think this had anything to do with Colorado, nor Deion, nor his approach to how he chooses to run this team. I think this is more about, just watching Colorado play last week against CSU, bringing Lil Wayne onto the field, having them walk out the tunnel, having The Rock, having Kevin Hart, having, X, Y, and Z dudes on these sidelines, like we were talking about prior, having Keyshawn and Terrell Owens and Warren Sapp and all these big names. It's, in a sense, he is bringing Hollywood to the game. And, I don't think that's a personal thing on Deion. It's, obviously he's a smart man. He's going to do what he does to get his program exposure. He's bringing him money, whether, anybody likes it or not. But once again, I think the point more so was we're here to play this game. We're here for one thing and one thing only. And I think that was more so Dan Lanning's message, at least into how I interpreted it. So, yeah, like I said, I was ready to run through a wall myself. I was ready to jump on that field, man. I'll go get lit up. That's fine. I was ready to go. But I love the speech. And, I don't think it was anything personal. After the game, Deion wasn't mad himself. He understood how it was. It's more so the media narrative that kept driving and driving and driving and driving. And I think it finally kind of boiled up to a point where Dan said, all right, it's enough of this shit. We're going out to play this game. We're going to show you who we are and how we're going to establish ourselves, and he did just that.
This reminds me of kind of how we would talk about the University of Spoiled Children, in their Hollywood glam and their desire to. That's kind of what this is like, but then it's just because it's Colorado. It's literally just Dion, and that's it. Everyone just got tired of it. Like you say, Dan Lanning got asked all these questions about Dion, not about, hey, what are you guys doing to prepare? How are you gonna do this? That's why I said today, all of my YouTube has been filled with is now all these reactions to it, and including like I think we kind of chatted about with like Skip Bayless and them doing their little take on it, and they still all back Dion, which is fine, but they don't say, hey, Oregon killed them, deservedly so, good win. They don't say that at all. They just go, Dion's going to have this going. Dion's going to have this going. But then again, these people are so dumb. They're like, wait till next year. We don't play them next year, you idiots.
Now
the talking heads on national television don't even know that the conferences change. So,
Pat McAfee said it this morning. Pat McAfee said it this morning on his show. He was like, "Did y'all watch that Oregon-Colorado game?" He's like, "Man, them Ducks came to play." He says, "Them boys are no joke. They made Dion look terrible." He's like, they're there. He goes, I'm sold. He goes, that team is solid. Dan Lanning's a man, and he says, I got Oregon right now. I got Oregon there.
I think he said I think he said just send them to the playoff now. I think that's what he said. If I recall that correctly, and AJ Hawk was just like, I have no complaints with what you're saying, but that's just because he picked Colorado, not AJ Hawk, but McAfee picked Colorado. He was the only one that picked them to win, I think, that day on the game day.
No, actually, he didn't. Vince Vaughn did.
Vince Vaughn, yeah.
Oh, okay. I just saw the screenshot.
Picture.
Oh, okay, I just saw the screenshot. It was in front of McAfee. Maybe that's why I thought it was McAfee that picked it.
Yeah, it's just and Tony brings up a good point. He's like, these guys are entertainers; they're not analysts, and that's 100% the truth. I was like there was one comment in particular on one show that really got to me, and I can't remember the name of the show. It's on FS1. It's with LaShawn McCoy's on there. Keyshawn Johnson's on the very same show, but they're talking to a point. Yeah, okay, there we go. Yeah, same show, and the mic gets to LaShawn McCoy, and he's like, Dan Lanning, he's corny, he's a hater, he's attention seeker, da-da-da-da. He's like, what's his name? Dan Lemming, da-da-da-da-da. And it was at that very moment where I realized it doesn't matter how this game was going to play out. It didn't matter what Dan did. It didn't matter if he was in the locker room prior to the game and he's like, we love and respect Colorado. We're going to go out there and treat them with respect the entire time. It didn't matter. They are so angry that this hype train that they've been pushing and pushing came to a screeching halt to a point this week. That they were just spewing stuff over the air, and he was fuming on air, and it was, I don't know, that was one that really got to me.
Did you said LaShawn McCoy?
Yeah.
Well, remember, LaShawn McCoy is also the one who called Chip Kelly a racist for trading from the Eagles back in the day. He said, he's a, and I'm like, I believe Chip Kelly's been coaching in college and the NFL for plenty of years. And no one's ever had a complaint. It's just you don't like what he did. It has nothing to do with him or his personality or his character. You just don't like him.
Well, Sean McCoy blames Chip Kelly for ruining his NFL career at that point. So,
well, that's what I mean. He just didn't like the decision he made. Basically,
yeah, but
that's all it is.
And then I believe it was like Emmanuel Acho, who's also on the show. He's like, you got to give it to him. They're like, Oregon's a college football playoff contender, and LaShawn, he's like, no, I wouldn't say that. He's like, they're not even a conference contender, da-da-da-da. And it was like, once again, it's just pushing these angry buttons to try to get these clicks off. And, it's just, the word clicks has become a hot fire topic this week. And, I think in the media, that's exactly what's happening. It was wild.
I will say.
Let's talk about this defense. Did you put those numbers that I sent you up?
I did. We're gonna get into the defense. Hold on. We got a couple little things. What were you saying, Sean?
The clicks are what the media is kind of getting on. Is like they're searching for clicks. We're searching for wins, and this game isn't played in Hollywood. It's played here on the grass. Like that's what they're trying to hang on. When in all reality, that speech was 10 seconds. Whether as us Duck fans wanted to run through a wall of Lanning, that wasn't all of Lanning's speech. That was just a broad little spectrum of it.